Alright, so today we're going to be practicing or learning about graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form. Okay, so do you know what a linear equation is? Okay, so a linear equation, if you graph it, it's going to give you a line. Okay, now the way we're going to graph it is using what we call the slope-intercept form. Okay, now the slope-intercept form is always written in the form y equals mx plus b. Okay, so what does this mean? The m stands for slope. Okay, the b stands for y-intercept. Okay, now the word intercept, okay, what does that sound like to you?
Like crossing?
Good, excellent. Okay, so y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, and right now when we do our problems, we're gonna see how they work together. Okay, now slope, m. Slope, they call it rise over run. Okay, now the rise is always your vertical movement, vertical top to bottom. Okay, and then the run is always your horizontal. Horizontal means side to side. So in other words, a slope moves either up or down, okay, and then always to the side. Now, if it's positive, it's always going to go up. So just remember, if you're positive, you're going up. Okay, if it's negative, that means you're going down. So when someone's negative, they're down. So that's another way to think about it. Okay, now the slopes, they have 4 different behaviors. Okay, so the first one is positive. Okay, the positive slope from left to right will always go up. So positive slope always rises from left to right. The negative slope will always go down. So from left to right, it always goes down. Okay, if you ever have a no slope, okay, or they also call undefined, then that means it goes just straight up and down, vertical. And then zero slope, zero always goes horizontal. So this one's good to remember because Z and Z, zero and horizontal. Okay, so here are the 4 behaviors of slope for our slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I'm going to do one example first, and then I'm going to have you try one example, and then we're going to check it on Desmos in the computer. All right, so here's example number 1. Let's say example number 1 is y equals 2/3 of x plus 1. Okay, so my first question to you is this equation in slope-intercept form? No? Okay, so this equation is not written like this.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay, it is, good. Okay, so this is in slope-intercept form. Okay, so remember that this means y equals mx plus b. Okay, so looking at the original equation, y equals mx plus b, and looking at this equation that we have, okay, can you tell me what the slope is? What the m is?
2/3.
2/3, perfect. Okay, now is that positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, so that means is it gonna go up or down? Up, perfect. Okay, and then can you also tell me the y-intercept or the b? 1, perfect. Okay, and like you said, that's where the line is gonna cross the y-axis. Okay, so now we're gonna graph this one. I'm gonna start this one off to show you, and then we're gonna do a couple others together. Okay, so first point that you always put is your y-intercept or your b. Okay, so since this is positive 1, on the y-axis, which is the one that runs vertically, we go up to 1 and we put a point. Okay, now from that point, we use the slope. So we're gonna be going 2 up and 3 to the right. Okay, so from here, we're gonna go up 2, 1, 2. Now, we only move up, but we don't put a point. We only go up 2, and then we're gonna go 3 to the right. So it's up 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, we put a point. Okay, now like we said over here, when the slope is positive, it's gonna go upward, it's gonna rise from left to right. So if we connect our 2 points here, we see our line is going up. okay, because the slope is positive, so that makes the perfect connection. Okay, so now, based on my example, I'm gonna have you leave the example here. I'm gonna let you try one here. Okay, so I want you to try number 1. Okay, and that point is the what? Okay. That point that you put there is the what?
The Y.
The y-intercept, Okay, so then how did you get to this point?
Because I went 7 up and to the right 2.
Perfect, 7 up and to the right 2. And then now you're gonna make your line. Okay, so connect the 2 points. Good. Now, if you look at the line from left to right, is it going up, down, horizontal, or vertical?
Up.
Up. Good. Okay, and that's because the slope is positive. Okay. Now, let's say you're not too sure, you want to double check your work. You can always use the website Desmos. Okay, so Desmos here is a graphing calculator, and the way we check it is we write here in the space, we write in the equation just the way we see it. Okay, so I'm gonna check this one, and then we'll do the second one, and then you'll check the second one, and then we'll see how we're doing. Okay, so this one was y equals 7 over 2, 7/2. Now you always have to make sure you move to the middle and then put your x. Okay, and then minus 2. So you notice here on the screen, they have a point at -2 on the y-axis, just like you did, -2. Then you went up 7. Now careful when you count because the spaces are kind of big, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right up to 5, and then 2 over, which is what you did. If you count here, you went up to 5 and then 2 over. Okay, all right. So now what I want you to do next is I want you to try problem number 2, and then we'll check it on Desmos. Okay, so for number 2, before you start, by looking at the equation, what is the slope?
2, I mean 3. Oh wait, no. 6? Or -6?
-6, good. So that means since the slope is negative, the line is gonna be falling from left to right. Okay, and what's the y-intercept?
3.
3, okay? So go ahead and start at 3. Okay, now,
Go down 6.
this is something that is a little bit different because this is just a whole number. Anytime you see that,
Has
you
a
put a
1.
1 underneath. Exactly.
I go down 6 into the right one.
Exactly. Down 6 into the right 1. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right 1. Perfect. Okay, now you can go ahead and make your line. That line got a little bit crooked there, but okay, close enough. Now, from left to right, is it falling or rising?
Falling.
Falling, good. So it matches perfectly. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to, there, you can click X to erase. And then I want you to try the new equation.
Can I take this off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. Plus 3.
Where's that plus sign?
Perfect. Okay, so we see a positive, intersecting there at the 3, down 6, and then 1 over, the perfect point there. Okay, now the last thing that we're gonna do to wrap up is I'm gonna give you this post-it. This is gonna be your exit ticket. Okay, and I want you to write here, I want you to write down something you learned today. All right, perfect. And that is the end. Thank you very much.